All right, we are going to start with order of operations. This is something that I know you guys are going, hey, I already know how to do this. Why are you showing me again? But let's just go over a few things because there's certain things that typically trip students up when they get to 7th grade involving order of operations. The first thing to note is that you are going to see phrases like PEMDAS or GEMDAS, or you may remember it using please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please, please, please make a note that this is only done when there are no variables. If there's a variable, you're not going to follow order of operations. First step in order of operations is parentheses or the grouping symbols. You'll notice that the first set are called parentheses. These ones are called brackets or braces, typically brackets, and they look like straight versions of parentheses. We use these usually when we have a problem that involves more than one set of parentheses, because once you start seeing this kind of thing, it gets a little confusing to have that many parentheses. So they usually will use brackets to help you see where one starts and one ends. Please also make note that you always work inside out when you apply order of operations. So in the situation over to the right that I just wrote, you want to work on the inside parentheses first and then work towards the outside. Next comes exponents, and just as a review, base is the larger number, exponent is the little number written in the top right-hand corner. And just to review, it means multiply the base by itself the number of times that the exponent says. Next comes multiplication and division. Biggest thing that students mess up with multiplication and division is that you're going to work left to right, which means if division comes before multiplication, you do division first. I also gave you the different symbols to represent multiplication and division. Last is addition and subtraction, and once again, work left to right. That means if there is a subtraction problem before the addition problem, you need to work them left to right. Let's go into the examples. The first example says 8 plus 3 bracket 2 cubed minus 5 plus 7 parentheses 3 parentheses bracket divided by 9. So order of operations states we have to go to our grouping symbols first, which means we're going to focus on the brackets. Now, when we look at the brackets, we have to go through and apply order of operations. So the first thing we do within the brackets is the grouping symbols. In that grouping symbol, you're going to notice that there's a set of parentheses. So in the parentheses is the 3. That's all there is. So within the grouping symbol, there is nothing to do. So then we go on to exponents in the grouping symbol, and our exponent is 2 cubed. So we have 8 plus 3 bracket 2 cubed means 2 multiplied 3 times. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So we have 8 minus 5 plus 7 parentheses 3 bracket divided by 9. Okay, that's the exponents. Next comes multiplication and division. And in looking at multiplication and division, we note that we have multiplication inside. The 7 parentheses 3 means multiplication. So we multiply 7 times 3, and we get 21. There's no other multiplication or division, so we then go into addition and subtraction. And when we look, there is both a addition and a subtraction, but subtraction comes first. So we don't do 5 plus 21 first. We have to do 8 take away 5 first. And if need be, sometimes doing this tends to help people visualize what we're doing, so you can do that to indicate what step you're doing or where your numbers came from. And now we can then move into 3 plus 21, which is 24 divided by 9. I didn't say it, sorry, for 8 minus 5, that's where the 3 came from. Now we can go back to the outside because we've done our order of operations inside the grouping symbols. Now we come to the outside. So we've done the grouping symbols. Now we have exponents. Nope, no exponents. So that then takes us to multiplication and division. And in this case, we have both multiplication and division. First comes the multiplication. So we have 3 times 24. And for 3 times 24, we get 72. And now we can do the division of 72 divided by 9, which we know to be 8. And our last step is to do our addition and subtraction. And all we have left is 8 plus 8, and so we end up with 16 as our final answer. Now let's go into the second example. Looking at the second example, again, we're going to write out our order of operations, and we start with grouping. There's no grouping symbols, which takes us into exponents. So in exponents, we have 2 to the 4th, which means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. Now that our exponents are done, we move into multiplication and division. We have both, but the division comes first. 16 minus 12 divided by 3 is 4 times 2. And then we can do 4 times 2, which is 8. Let me give you an example as to why you want to do the multiplication and division working left to right. Because if you were to do 3 times 2 first, that would be 6, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. We ended up with 8. So that's an example as to the order matters, and it's important to work left to right. We're going to move into negatives pretty soon in a few days, and when it comes to the addition and subtraction, the negatives will make a huge, they'll have a huge impact on them, on how to add or subtract, so working left to right is important there. Now moving into the last steps, which are addition and subtraction. In this case, subtraction comes first. We do 16, take away 8, which is 8, and then 8 plus 11, which is 19. Now, again, if we were to do the addition before the subtraction, and we did 8 plus 11, you would say it would become 16 minus 19, and then 16 minus 19 you'll learn is negative 3. Notice that's a significantly different answer than the 19. So messing up one of the steps throughout the problem is going to impact negatively the final answer. So it's really important to show every step and not try to do so much of this in your head. It's not going to go very well, and that's a real easy way to make careless mistakes, is to try and take shortcuts and do so much in your head.